This season of Attack on Titan was filled with many significant moments. Some of them were concerning, some were sad, while some were downright depressing, and yet there were also a fair number of badass moments. It was indeed a well-executed season, and now that it has ended, let's talk about the top 10 Attack on Titan moments of this season. Alright, shall we begin? Starting from number 10, the first one on our list is As the public's disagreement towards Eren's imprisonment continues, it was only a matter of time before Eren's supporters revealed themselves and things got ugly. They reveal themselves by blowing the Premier to death. The YEAGERISTS make their presence known. Eren escapes the prison and comes in contact with the YEAGERISTS. They offer him a cool jacket and then he asks them to find out about Zeke's whereabouts. Meanwhile, the military finds themselves in a moment of extreme panic. They have no idea who to trust and where to point fingers. Hanji reasons with them, and then Commander Pixis states how they should just surrender to Eren, at least for now. Despite the fact that the whole world is now the enemy of paradise, the inside conflict among the Iron Dwellers could no longer be ignored. After Sasha's death, NICOLO met her father, Mr. Blouse, and invited him to come eat at his restaurant. Then one day, Mr. Blouse and Miss Blouse shows up together with all their folks, and as fate would have it, the girl who killed Sasha as well as the boy who unfortunately tagged along were also with the Blouse family. NICOLO was already in a state of severe anxiety. He stopped John from drinking questionable wine by bashing him, and yet when he was alone, preparing himself to make a meal for the Blouse family. GABI and Falco show up. They talk. But it was only a matter of time before the already broken NICOLO realized how it was GABI who killed Sasha. Right then, in that very moment, he goes mad and attacks GABI with a bottle of wine, while Falco protects her. Later, he drags them both in front of Mr. Blouse and explains how GABI was the one who killed Sasha. The scouts were in the next room, so they also appear at the scene too. However, instead of delving into senseless things like hate or revenge, Mr. Blouse talks about the early days when Sasha left and became a scout. He wasn't thinking about revenge at all because he knows that unless they keep the young ones out of this, nothing is ever going to change. Well, in a revenge-oriented series like Attack on Titans, this one moment stands out as Sasha's father sees how meaningless the cycle of hate is. He decides to forgive, and that makes all the difference. NICOLO had doubts about the special wine. He even went as far as to bash John to a terrifying degree, just so he can make sure his friends stay away from it. However, when that bottle hit Falco's head and broke, some of the wine slipped into his mouth. NICOLO tells Hanji to quickly rinse his mouth, and suddenly, Hanji's worst nightmare comes to surface. Her hunches were on point. Zeke lied about how anyone who drinks the fluid suddenly freezes. Now there's no telling just how many of the high-ranking soldiers, as well as the ones who are with Levi, are at Zeke's mercy. With just one scream, they'll turn into Titans. Both Yelena and Zeke, as well as the YEAGERISTS, one-upped everyone. It was already too late. All three military units had been backed into a corner. The ones in control are the YEAGERISTS. Eren launched a surprise attack on Marley and caught them off guard, but it was only a matter of time before they regained their footing and started taking control of the situation. Their supposed war chief Zeke had taken stance. Peak and Porco had escaped the trap, and the Warhammer Titan was already a difficult enough opponent as it was, or at least that's how things seemed to be. Marley thought they were slowly taking control of the situation. However, just when they thought they had the Founding Titan in check, a massive explosion takes place. The harbor's utterly destroyed, not to mention the hundreds of innocent people that are caught up in the explosion too. This makes Marley's rapidly approaching defeat even more apparent. Captain Levi takes care of Zeke, Pete gets pushed to the point of submission, and furthermore, the legendary Warhammer Titan gets eaten. When MKASA showed up, EREN came up with a plan which centered around him eating the Warhammer Titan. He becomes aware of how the Warhammer Titan functions. He then finds the real body of Lar Tiber and attempts to crush it. However, even with this Titan's hardened teeth, the hardening around Lar's body still proved to be significantly harder, almost unbreakable. EREN knew he just can't break through this crystal coating himself, and he also realized that he doesn't have to. The battle drags on, and the instant comes when Porco comes rushing in to end EREN. EREN brings out the best in the situation. He uses Porco's insanely strong and sharp jaw to crack the crystal coating around Lara's body, almost as if he's using Porco as a nutcracker. Lara dies inside the crystal, while EREN drinks up her blood and in turn attains the power of the Warhammer Titan. This battle made history. No one has been able to damage Marley this much ever since the Great Titan War. Not only did they lose the battle, but they also lost 2 Titans.
それで、全ては計画通りってわけですか、GABIが。
大筋は良かったが、誤算は多々あった。
ZEKE'Sは？何この子たち？
誤算だ。
Right when things were looking depressing for Marley, EREN was wreaking havoc and the scouts were all over the place. The Beast Titan shows up. Everyone rejoices. The War Chief is here. Those island dwellers sure aren't going to have their way with him around. However, it took Levi just one instant to take care of Zeke, and by the time the battle ended, Marley had already lost. But then, on the ship, GABI and Falco see the truth, as they are both being held captive. In front of them is the ever-respected War Chief Zeke Yeager. They are very confused as they see Zeke explaining how everything went according to the plan for the most part. They now have both the Founding Titan and a Titan with royal blood, and they can finally free Eldia. Both GABI and Falco are horrified as they come to realize how Zeke was never at their side to begin with, how everything was planned right down to the last detail. But this was no time to rejoice, because despite the thorough plan, there were still some unexpected casualties. The Marley arc was a war, and people die in wars. However, when a main character is mercilessly killed off so unexpectedly, the sadness is bound to get apparent, not just among fans, but among the other characters as well. When an insane amount of rage manifested inside GABI, she couldn't help but to decide to kill at least one island dweller. So she runs after the ship, takes out one of the soldiers, grabs onto the soldier's gear, and aims for the ship. Falco follows her and gets wrapped up along with her. They both come aboard the ship, and instantly GABI takes aim at one of the soldiers and pulls the trigger. That soldier just happened to be Sasha, and just like that, Sasha died. Her final word was meat. Her friends cried over her death. It wasn't even about who killed her, it was just that they were sad at how their friend is no longer with them anymore. But then EREN lets out a laugh, and this in turn triggers a reaction in both John and Connie. They start bashing him. Be that as it may, EREN was genuinely depressed at her death, not to mention how he became exceedingly bitter after this instant, even more so than before. He became aware that unless something is done, he'll continue to lose more and more people.
俺はガキの頃からずっとミカサ、お前が大嫌いだった。エレン、よくのミカサ！なあ、アルミン。お前とは昔から喧嘩したことなかったよな。なんでかわかるか？ お前と俺じゃ喧嘩になんねえからだよ。
While both Armin and Mikasa are with Gabi trying to tell her how they don't need a reason to protect the kid, suddenly Eren is right there with them. I mean, seriously, this was so sudden I almost let out a laugh. Anyways, Eren was in a pleasant mood. He cut his hand and told them both to keep their hands on the table. However, he still just wanted to talk to the two of them. Both Armin and Mikasa start by telling Eren how he's just getting manipulated by Zeke and Yelena. But this backfires. Eren counters their concern with some mind-blowing claims. He asks Armin about why he still goes and sees Annie's crystal. How is he not sure that it isn't Bertolt who is influencing his behavior? And then he explains to Mikasa how the reason she has always been so keen about protecting him. It's because the Ackermen were intentionally designed to protect the King of Eldia, and because Eren gave her an order back when they were just 10, and she awakened because of that order. She subconsciously identified Eren as her king. He further elaborates on it by explaining how she is just a slave to her blood, as well as the fact that such Ackermen always experience severe headaches. And then finally, Eren states that there's nothing he hates more than a slave and how he has always hated Mikasa. Armin charges towards Eren to give him a smack, but Mikasa stops him in a split second, which further backs up Eren's claims. From start to finish, this conversation went Eren's way, and honestly, it was genuinely depressing to see just what had become of our dear trio.
部下を巨人にしてからって俺が仲間を殺せないと思ったのか。俺たちがどれだけ仲間を殺してきたか知らねえだろうに。
Now that Zeke's spinal fluid has already reached the stomachs of several soldiers, it was only a matter of time before he makes full use of them. So when Levi was talking with a soldier, he makes a run for it and screams at the top of his lungs. Suddenly, Levi witnesses as his subordinates turn into titans, one by one. He instantly realizes that what Zeke told him about the fluid was a lie. It was already over for his subordinates. They turned into titans just like that. However, this wasn't enough to stop Levi, whose resolve is always unbreakable. He cuts them all and charges towards Zeke, who then transforms into the Beast Titan. It happens yet again. Captain Levi vs. Zeke, round 3. But from start to finish, the battle only lasts a couple of moments. Before we know it, Zeke is already half dead with a Thunder Spear attached to him, as he is getting taken to a place where someone else can eat him and inherit the Beast Titan. Captain Levi continues to keep slicing him up so that he doesn't just transform into a Titan again, all the while asserting some colossal insults. As for Zeke, his life flashes before his eyes. Suddenly he remembers the reason he had been fighting all this time. He moves and the Thunder Spear explodes. Levi gets caught up in the explosion, and while Zeke was also as good as dead, something crazy happens.
俺は進み続ける。敵を駆逐するまで。
パラディ島勢力へ宣戦布告を。
9 years before the events of the present day, both Reiner and Bertolt, along with Annie, destroyed Shinigashina. Because of that, Eren's mom was eaten by a Titan. Fast forward 5 years later, Eren is aiming to become a soldier so that he can join the scout regiment. And they are people he looks up to, people like Annie and Reiner. But before long, he comes face to face with the reality. Just who was it that destroyed the walls and took everything from the people of Shinigashina? It was them. And then, 4 years later, Eren has been inside Marley for some time, and as fate would have it, the day comes when both Eren and Reiner meet yet again. Falco guides Reiner into a basement, saying that there's an old friend waiting for him. Reiner follows, and suddenly he finds himself half paralyzed. Out of all the people who it could have been, the person waiting for Reiner was none other than Eren. Both of them talk. Eren explains how he understands why Reiner and the others did what they did. It's because they didn't have a choice. And as Falco witnesses their conversation happening right in front of him, Reiner drops down to his knees and starts pleading to Eren to just kill him and be done with it. But Eren had other plans. As Tiber continues on with his speech and eventually declares war on Paradise to take the Founding Titan, Eren tells Reiner how he'll keep moving forward until his enemies are destroyed. And just like that, Eren transforms, kills Tiber and starts wreaking havoc all over the place, and made the whole world his enemy. So there you go, guys. These are my picks for the top 10 Attack on Titan Season 4 Part 1 moments. We'll most likely get a part 2, so I'll definitely do another top 10 moments with that one as well. But for now, what did you guys think of these moments? I'm sure you have a lot to say about them, so feel free to go wild in the comment section. Also, before you leave, make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. It's always very appreciated. If you don't want to miss out on future Attack on Titan videos, don't forget to ring the bell as well. Well then, as always, I'm the Bearded Saiyan. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.